There seems to be this belief that, like, I grew up rich and that's how I became a journalist, a commentator, a content creator, and it's not true. I worked for the Bernie campaign, making like $30,000 a year at like the lowest possible position you can have, which is field organizer, where you're knocking doors and getting people's contact information. This is not a glorious job. I was not in DC at HQ or anything like that. I grew up super working class, and that means my parents didn't have college degrees. We lived in a 2-bedroom house, and my parents slept in the unfinished attic. Okay? That was their bedroom. So, humble beginnings, but I was really lucky. I went to trade school. I ended up going to college after we didn't think it was possible at all. And so I think this is anyone's game. Like, anyone can be a content creator. Did I need to go to college to do this? No. But studying and having good mentors really helped me. And I wouldn't have gone to grad school if I didn't have good mentors and I didn't have scholarships and Pell Grants to go to college. So, like, I just see it as I got really lucky and I worked really hard. And I became a content creator because when I decided I'm not going to stay in the research world after grad school, where I studied data driven policy, I was like, I guess I'll join the Bernie campaign because he's the only person fighting for the working class and the economy is totally rigged against us. So that's what I want to do. No one's making good fucking policy anyway, so I might as well. And so I moved to Iowa, which is where I live now. But this is 2020. And the campaign ended after the Iowa caucus, Super Tuesday, where all of the big states have their races, and Bernie was like really ahead, and then everyone dropped out and endorsed Biden, and then COVID hit. And so we all went home. And I went from talking to all of these people about this super hopeful movement that, like, we have this guy who wants to unrig the economy. This is great. To now that's not happening. He drops out and endorses Joe Biden, and we're all upset about that. And not only that, but we can't go outside, and we don't know how long this is going to last. And after about a year of not being outside and not talking to all these people about this hopeful movement to change our country, it's like whiplash. And I'm on TikTok, naturally, aren't we all? And I see all these skits, and I'm like, this is something I could do. This is something I want to do. I want to talk about economics with everyone again. I want to keep having these conversations like the one I had with my parents before I left for the Bernie campaign, which was like, you guys paid for my school when I couldn't. I worked through school. I was a bartender. I waited tables. I was a teaching assistant. My advisor, when I was about to stop going and drop out because I couldn't afford it, he made me his research and teaching assistant so I could keep going. And so I'm so grateful to all of these people. And I'm like, I'm not just like fucking off and joining this campaign because I'm like a Bernie bro or whatever. Like, there is no good policy in the country right now. This is what I believe in, is having a guy who understands that working class people built this country. They work 80-hour weeks, don't see their family, and they're still not getting by. Like, the system is rigged. And I believed so strongly that I would risk my financial well-being, even though I could have taken jobs that pay more, to do this because it's something I believe in. And, you know, I said to my mom, like, we've been working hard our whole lives. You've worked so many jobs and we're still not ahead. Why do you think that is? And it's because corporations are greedy. It's because they're making so much money off of us and paying us nothing and then getting tax breaks. And it's like, so we have no investment in roads, no investment in education, no investment in healthcare. We're expected to pay for all of this when they're paying us next to nothing, raising prices. It's just all rigged against us. And so this was a new perspective for me at the time. And I'm like, guys, like, come on, like, we all have to realize this. Like, I can't believe I went my whole life thinking we were poor because we were just dumb or like not as hardworking as other families. That's bullshit. My parents are some of the smartest people in the world in my eyes. And I think that we have to change this, right? And we change it through telling everyone else. And so COVID hits, I'm at home, I'm not having these conversations anymore, and I decide, well, we can have them through these funny little skits on TikTok. So I make one. And my partner at the time, my boyfriend, was like, this isn't funny. I post it. It gets 100,000 views. I'm like, this is easy. Going viral is easy. And now I don't think 100,000 views is viral. That's like good. You're reaching a lot of people, but viral now means like everyone's talking about this video and like everyone online has seen it. But anyway, at this time, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm viral. And I just keep making them, and it went well, and people started following me. And this was a time when the algorithm was pushing people entertaining videos, and I'm like, sick. This is awesome. And I ended up breaking up with that partner, obviously, because he was not very supportive of what I was doing. Neither was anyone at the nonprofit I was working at. Not anyone. There were some people who were supportive, but like there were select few people that laughed when one of my coworkers was like, Jessica's TikToks are really good. And they were like, pfft. And I was like, in the meeting, in the Zoom call, I was like, oh my God, that is so rude. And he was like, no, I'm not kidding. Like, she's making TikToks and they're good. And it was so awkward. Anyway, they hit me up to help them with stuff now, and I do not answer because that is crazy to think that now the person you doubted, you cast judgment upon in the most cruel way, you bullied me as an adult. I'm not gonna do any favors for you. Anyway, so that goes well. I end up becoming a content creator, and I would not regret working for the Bernie Sanders campaign or anything like that. I think I learned so much. I talked to so many regular working class people, and it gave me faith in the world. So that's that. That answers the question, when did you first get fired up about economic inequalities? And also the question, did you work for Bernie? What was that like? What is my phone doing? I sent a message to Meta AI saying, imagine me as an astronaut. The next question I'm going to answer before we move on to what happened after I started making content was, what's your accent? So my accent, I grew up in the tri-state area. In the part of Connecticut that sticks out, there's a fly. I didn't get it. The part of Connecticut that sticks out into New York, it should have been New York. They should have cut it off. I don't know why they didn't. But, so I grew up like a train ride from Manhattan. You get the vibes. I'm in an Italian-American family. That's how I talk. I've slowed it down because I think I had to. So people could understand me, because I think we talk fast, and when you talk fast and you talk like that, is in other parts of the country they're like, what are you saying? But when I'm around my family, it really comes out. My cousin Molly really still has a thick accent. My sister still got it. My family still has it, and they live in like rural North Carolina, so that's a fun situation. But I think that's all it is just I have an Italian American tri-state accent, and I've slowed it down so people get it. And I think when you go off to school, I also lived in South Africa for 6 months, you learn to talk like the people around you a little. So you neutralize your accent to be understood. That's all it is a slowed down Italian American accent. I think. I don't know what else it could be. But I will say, people always said my mom's mom and my mom, when we were living outside of New York City, that people in the area say we had a southern accent, but then now that we're in North Carolina, it's very clearly Yankee. I get this question a lot. What happened with TYT? Why are you not hosting at TYT anymore? Listen, I don't think that I don't judge anyone who does this. I don't think this is why I left this organization in media is something I want to do. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. We have a community of people here, right? That care about the country. They care about how people are treated. They care about interesting ideas. They care about Star Wars, okay? They care about making jokes. They care about interesting social commentary and the theme of Dune, right? We have a good thing going. Why would I fuck that up with making videos about drama? You know what I mean? Because then the people who love drama will join our community and mess up the vibes. Okay? So all I have to say is, as a person who has a message that wants to get out, if I'm in a place where I feel like I can't do that and it's not right for me to be there, I'll go. Like, it's okay for something to be a bad fit, right? And I will say there's a lot of big personalities in media. And I've heard a lot of reasons as to maybe why things didn't work out there regarding those big personalities. That's going to happen. It's media, right? I don't think that there should be any, assumption of bad blood, right? That's just life. I moved on, okay? And I started at TYT to answer this question. I started with why I left with a non-answer, but I'll give you a real answer for how it began. So I was TikToking. I was TikToking about the CIA, which I still do. It's a fun thing to do. About Guatemala and the coup there, and the Dulles brothers, John Foster Dulles and Alan Dulles, who were corporate lawyers, and then were the Secretary of State and head of the CIA, and staged coups against some of the multinational corporations they used to represent, right? They're friends. They had stock in these companies. So I'm talking about the coup and Chiquita Banana, and I get flagged for, like, content violations, and my video gets taken down, and I have to re-record the whole thing, which is annoying. And then John Russell, who I do the Jess and John pod with, he reaches out, and he's like, Ryan Grimm, who now I work with at Dropsite, Ryan Grimm's doing a story at The Intercept about content suppression on the left. And I'm like, yeah, this happens to me on TikTok. So I go on the show Rising, where Ryan was hosting as a guest, right? My first Rising appearance. And it's Robbie Suave and Ryan. They ask us about our content stuff and what the motivations are for TikTok. Isn't it the CCP? Wouldn't they love some communist CIA propaganda? No, they do not. They have corporate advertisers. They're a US-based company. They care about making as much money as possible. They don't care about ideology, and the assumption that they do is ridiculous. Anyhow, so I do that, and then the TYT, like, person in charge of personnel, reaches out, and they're like, you should come on the show, talk about this too. I do an interview with Cenk. It goes well. He says, even if, your content's getting flagged out there, you have a home at TYT. And I said, that's so nice. We just met. What do you mean? But then I did for a while, and it went well. They invited me back. They invited me back to host. One thing leads to another. I had a bunch of friends out in LA. I moved to LA. I took my friend's sublet. I was considering staying there. And then I leased an apartment that was full of roaches. So that's why I left LA, because that's illegal to do. But then I would have to sue a huge corporate whatever apartment complex. So I moved back home. And then my best friend from high school was in Charlotte. So I was hanging out in Charlotte. I liked it. I just moved there. Close to family, close to my friend. It was cool. But yeah, me leaving TYT, I mean, I was still on JR show, Nina Turner's show, Rashad Ritchie's show, and I love them. I was on John's show sometimes too. I love all those guys. Jordan Newell, we're tight. That's my dog. And so a lot of good things came out of being at TYT. I don't regret being there, right? I had a lot to learn. I was new in media, and I learned a lot, so it was good. And then I went on to Rising at the Hill, where I debated with right-wingers all the time. I didn't leave there for any beef or drama. That's just, I'm not in DC, and I don't want to be in DC, and it would take a lot to get me to move to DC to do that job specifically, because it's bad for your spirit, I think, to argue in the morning time. To argue at all every day. I think it poisons your spirit to seek conflict intentionally for television, which I love having a good debate for things we really believe in, to sort it out, to find, weaknesses and in my argument, in my vision for what could be, good policies in the world, good laws, principles, values, right? And it wasn't that after a while, It was about this side and fight. Like, it was like the UFC for ideas, okay? Political ideas. So I don't know about that. We're going to go to something related. Do you believe in forgiveness? Of course. Of course I believe in forgiveness. But you have to make things right. You can't just say, like, oh, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I believe in conditional forgiveness. I have to see, and I can just tell. I have made a lot of decisions on my intuition. This is something I believe in deeply, and something you need to understand is that when I was leaving grad school and I was considering going to the Bernie campaign, I was like, this feels right. When I went to LA for TYT and because I wanted to try California, it felt like what I should be doing. Even though I cried in the car leaving North Carolina because I love it so much. I'm so glad that we're moving back to North Carolina at some point, but hell yeah, I believed it was what I should do based on feeling more than anything. And so I can tell when someone deserves forgiveness. It's a sixth sense. And more people need to realize that we all have it. Some of us use it, some of us don't. It's a choice. And I've chosen to use it. I chose to use it. Who do you take after more, your mom or your dad? I'm going to be honest, the older I get, the more I'm like my father. My dad will talk to everyone and anyone he encounters in his day-to-day life. He will talk to the clerk at the gas station. He knows them well. He knows their names. He knows a little bit about their life. And I started doing that. I used to be like, oh, Dad, come on, let this young woman do her job. But then, he makes her giggle a little bit. And that makes him happy. And he spreads love and he spreads joy. And the little things every single day are what's important to him. And the older I get, the more I realize that's the right way to live. He also is very philosophical, and he pays attention to the news more than you would expect a builder to pay attention to the news, a carpenter. So yeah, he always says, thank God you look like your mom. Thank God you got your mom's brains. But he's just being nice. He knows I'm a lot like him and I'm a lot like his father. I feel like we're pretty caught up. I'm getting questions about moving to the Midwest and also Midwest culture shock, which is fun. Listen, when I was like going to Rising a bunch, I was living in North Carolina. So after I left TYT, and after I left LA, I had just been through a really bad breakup, and I was in a weird place, right? I moved back with my parents. I rented an apartment that was filled with roaches, so I don't want to live with my parents again, but I feel like we really got to know each other for the few months that I was home. And then, so I'm home for like 4 months, and I'm making videos with More Perfect Union. I have my own contract, so it's not like I left and I was jobless, right? I was still doing my thing. And I feel like I got to know my parents as an adult, which was really nice. And then I moved to my apartment in Charlotte, and within a month, I met my partner on Twitter when it was still Twitter. And yeah, he liked my post when I was doing Funny Money. We really wanted to make a podcast of just like Audible. You can listen to it and learn MMT, an introductory course to MMT, and I'm really proud of it. And so we're recording that. I took a picture with the deficit myth, and my partner saw it on his feed and started following me. And I was like, who is this handsome man liking my posts about economics? And so I follow back. And then I find him on Instagram because he was very handsome and likes MMT. So I'm going to find him. And I did. And then I followed him. And then he followed me. And then he liked my selfie where I was almost wearing no makeup. So he was really rocking with me. He wasn't just like hot. He was more so like, I want you to know that I like you for you. What a guy. And so then I liked some of his old pictures after having a few glasses of wine one night. And then I woke up to a DM. And that's beautiful. That's modern love. That's how it happens. So fast forward 1 month, we meet in real life, IRL. I finish an episode of Rising and I take the elevator down to him in my lobby with his suitcase. And we meet. And he's staying with me for 3 days. So it had to go well. Otherwise it would be really awkward because I had a studio apartment. So there was no privacy. Anyway, he and I started dating the next day. And we said I love you the day after that. And then we moved in together a few weeks later. And then next month it's 2 years. So that's beautiful, folks. And we're going back and forth, spending a month at a time in North Carolina, like a month and a half, then a month and a half in Iowa, driving the Bronco back and forth. And I'm traveling, doing the documentary journalism for More Perfect Union and going to DC to do The Hill. I'm all over the place, right? But for the most part, half my time's in Iowa, half my time's in North Carolina. And I got to microdose living in Iowa, but I had already been here. But it's very different being here, knowing there's a deadline, and being here and being like, this is my home, this is where I live. And being with people who grew up here, right? My boyfriend's whole family from here. That's different, okay? I'll tell you, I have a little note in my phone of things I think that are different in the Midwest, and I will read them to you now. So, in the tri-state area, my home, when you meet someone and you're with a friend or your boyfriend or your girlfriend and you're like, hey, how's it going? And you're talking, right? You're catching up. You immediately are like, this is such and such, my such and such. In the Midwest, if this person is not significant to their lives or they don't want to hang out in real life ever again, I'm not getting introduced. I just stand there. Why? Guys, introduce. But it's a cultural difference. That's just how they are. They don't want to waste time, which is interesting because isn't that like a New York thing that we like got places to go? We have things to do. I'm walking here, you know? Get out of my way. No, in the Midwest, you don't get introduced. Okay, if you get someone a gift, right? If you're going to dinner in the Midwest, I have always been raised that you bring something. And I'm having a hard time not doing that. And so if you bring someone like a gift, like it was Women's Day and I brought flowers for my women in my life, they were like, I didn't get you anything. Oh no. And it's like, no, it's fine. I was just thinking of you. I just want you to know I love you and that's beautiful. Okay? All you have to say is, they're so great. I love them. Not here. They don't do that. It needs to be reciprocal, like equal. Like I give you this, you give me this, and it's equal. There's also like very commonly limits set, spending limits for like Christmases, and it's communicated. We don't do that. We're just like, I got you this. Oh, that's so nice. I got you this. It doesn't matter. We don't need to negotiate prices. Oh my God, this one's tough for me. You can see the closet. You can see the makeup. I'm a diva. A little bit. They wear athleisure. Yoga pants is their jeans. And black jeans is their, like, dress. Okay? That's like if I were to wear a dress to an event and, like, dress and heels and makeup. Here, it's like a nice shirt and black jeans. That's hard. That's hard for me to do. Not only because black is not a good color on me, but because I like wearing sparkly pretty things. But here it's a different standard. There's not a dressing up that happens here. If you are wearing like an outfit and your hair is done and your makeup is done, it's your birthday. You're going somewhere. What is that about? It's okay to dress up. Cream cheese is in everything also. And cheese is in everything. Everything. Oh, putting pre-made packaged stuff together, including but not limited to cheese and cream cheese, that's cooking. That's like you made it from scratch. If you're taking a Campbell's soup and making a casserole with the soup concentrate. As an Italian, that one's really hard for me. They'll be like, what's the recipe for this? And if you start saying flour, sugar, eggs, they're like, Are you a pioneer? It's not common. Also, everyone shares details about work. Where I'm from, you talk about work with your close friends. I'm not sharing work details with, people I don't really tightly, like your best friend, your boyfriend, your mom, your dad, your sister, your cousin. That's it, right? Close circle, inner circle information. No, work drama is for everyone in the Midwest, which I think is kind of fun. That's one I like. I don't care if I know these people. I want to know what's happening in your workplace. And I'll remember them and ask about them. The other thing is just people lie. I had a doctor's appointment. I swear to God, she said, you can come in earlier on Thursday at 4. I show up. And she's like, I don't have anything for you. And I'm like, where's the woman I talked to on the phone? She looks me in the eyes. And she immediately, she knew. She knew that I knew that she was lying. And she stuck to it. But she had the demeanor of a liar, someone caught in the lie. And then she just kept lying. She was like, oh, no, I told you. And I'm like, no, you didn't. You said 4. You said I could come in 4 today and see the doctor. And she said, oh, no, you can come Friday. We don't have anything else today. She lied. Anyway, people will just do that. There's a certain passive aggressiveness and a lack of straightforwardness. That's just how it is. There's something called Iowa nice, where it's like not really nice. I still don't fully know what it means, but that's what they say. Everyone knows everything about everyone. Everyone they grew up with. They know if they declared bankruptcy. They know how many kids they have. They know what the kids do. They know a lot of details about the people in the towns. Okay, they drink more than anyone here, but it's like it's not cocktails. It's beer, it's wine, and it's mixed drinks. Like, adults will order at the bar, like a 7-Up and vodka, a whiskey Coke, whatever it is, gin and soda. And people are just always drinking, like, mixers and alcohol. And not cocktails. There's not a lot of cocktails. It's weird. It is all flat and a lot of farmland. That takes a lot to get used to. That's true. Also, no one ever shows their hand. What did I mean when I said that? Oh, I know what I meant. No one ever shows their hand, meaning they're humble, right? So you'll talk to someone and you'll be like, yeah, when I was at the Iowa caucuses, I noticed that people were doing this, and I thought this was really interesting. And you're talking about politics. You're like, Obama, when he ran, he was talking about China taking a credit card out, or the Americans taking a credit card out with the Bank of China, and the national debt's a big problem. And I don't think it was productive that Obama was stumping about that, and he was supposedly a progressive, not when it comes to the economy, I guess, not when it comes to the monetary system. And you'll be talking to someone, and then they'll just randomly be like, yeah, I was working on the Obama campaign and I was talking to the guy that came up with that part of the stump speech. You have no idea who you're talking to. They will never show their hand. They'll let you talk about something that they're an expert on because they're humble. They don't reveal who they are until later in the conversation, almost after it's relevant. And you're like, what? Who are you? Okay, this one I don't like. I don't like this one. I swear a lot. They say sorry for swearing and stuff. And they use words like golly and daggammit. But like, golly. They just say that instead of like, fuck. Instead of, oh shit. It's, oh golly. What? Are we in 1950? But the good thing is, like, there's a little bit of the 1950s-ness of like, they have good parks and they care about the community and the school and they know each other, so that's crazy. It's been an adjustment, okay? But now I'm happy to be here full time. We just couldn't take the moving back and forth anymore, and so we're here until my partner sells his houses, and I'm working remote. I'm investing more in my independent media presence, making more videos, doing YouTube. I'm going to be doing so much YouTube. I'm going to be doing more Q&As in addition to more topical videos, so let me know what you want to see. And I think it's going to be fun. I think everyone's going to have a good time. That's it, folks. And I'll answer more of these. Let me know what other questions I didn't get to that you want me to answer. But it's been a hell of a past 5 years, 4 years. It's been a hell of a past 3 or 4 years that I've been doing media. And I think as long as you are posting what you're passionate about, things can work out. That's what I would say. Don't listen to what people tell you to do. Do what feels right. Sounds crazy, but you have to trust your intuition. That's my advice. People don't tell you that, but I'm going to be real and tell you that because it's the truth. That's how I got here. I'm so fucking for real. I don't think you can be like, here's the formula for going viral. Here's the formula for doing leftist commentary. If you're excited about something and you have an idea and you want to talk about it, just set up the camera, talk about it, put a light on your face. You're good. You can see the light on my face in the mirror. So that's how we got here. That's what's going on. When I decided not to take the job at the Hill, I started working at Drop Site, and I'm still doing my own thing. Like Ryan was like, I don't want people who work here to have to be exclusive. None of that. You can keep doing all of your other stuff. We want, to have like a collection of independent thinkers that are, working with Drop Site. And so that's cool. The one reason why I will never sign like an exclusive contract and like commit my life to an existing organization is because I don't want anyone to control what I have to say. And so that's why I will always stay independent, because I don't think I belong somewhere if they're telling me what to say, because I have really strong opinions that are based in like data that I've seen and like I've read the research. And so I'm not going to join an organization. They're going to be like, listen, dog, this is what we want to say. So you say it into a camera and microphone. I'm like, no, you say it into the camera and microphone. I'm going to say the version that I believe. And so that makes me hard to work with sometimes, but I'm an honest person, and that is something I'll never waver on. So the media world is hard, and if you cannot find like media work to do where you have a voice and you have control over what you say, don't go independent yet. I would not have left my nonprofit if it wasn't possible that I had enough work to choose from as an independent contractor that I could control what I say. So I will be staying independent, but I need to do more YouTube and more stuff that, I don't know, allows me to be more independent and not take contracts where, I'm working with someone and it's something I believe in and agree with, but it might not be what I want to spend my energy and time on, but it's what pays the bills. And so I want to have the kind of platform where I have total control over what I say, when I say it, how I say it. And I can swear, which is very important to me, and I can tell little jokes and be unserious, and no one's gonna get mad at me and be like, why are you saying that? Because I want to say it. And I'm also working on a book that's happening. I'm not going to tell you anything else about it because that's just for me right now, but you'll find out when you need to find out. So that's me doing YouTube. This is like my first really long one. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for rocking with me. I love you. Bye.